This is our second and follow-up interview with well-known American comedian Trey Crowder. He is best identified by an interesting comedic brand called the Liberal Redneck. Crowder grew up in rural Tennessee near the Kentucky border. He co-authored the Liberal Redneck Manifesto, Dragging Dixie Out of the Dark. He has come to Florida to perform at Sunshine Cathedral Performing Arts Center here in Fort Lauderdale. As our Hotspots magazine and Happening Out television network viewers know, Sunshine Cathedral is the world's largest queer church. Crowder is a wonderful opportunity through his humor to explore much of what we are watching in culture wars here in Florida and across the country. With you said in our first interview when we were talking about your gig at Sunshine, you said you've never performed at a church before.
No.
And while this is Sunshine Performing Arts Center, this event that you're performing at is a sellout. But after all, it is a church performing art, and it is a gay church,
right? Which
is like contradiction. Yeah. You are third contradiction.
Yeah.
Thoughts about agnostic Southerner with a thick Southern accent who's a redneck performing in a church and a queer church?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild. Like, I'll probably talk about this at least a little bit on stage later, but like when my agent first says like, hey, there's we got an offer for you to do a show at a church in Florida. And I was like, is this a trap? Like, I don't know about that. And he's like, no, it's the world's largest queer church. And I was like, okay, well, that certainly makes it different, but I still have some questions. Just the church part, the gay part, no problem at all. Yeah. All for it. Yeah. The church part, I was like, are they sure? But I'm not going to get up there, and I don't do this anywhere. Like, I might take a couple of jabs, but like, I'm not, again, because I'm not that sort of fervent atheist type. Like, I don't spend a lot of time going after the church, really. It's just that I have been open about not sharing the beliefs. So, I mean, yeah, the whole thing. I mean, I'm anxious to see, how it goes. I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're going to extensively explore a story that's coming out of Jacksonville. And now Jacksonville is a major metropolitan city, but it is very rural South. And the First Baptist Church in Jacksonville has announced that all of its members are going to have to sign a sexual identity pledge to pledge that they're heterosexual and that they reject LGBTQ lifestyle. The First Baptist Church of Jacksonville, Florida. What's your reaction to what we watch in the church? Tell us about your experience and what you think about it.
I mean, really the only thing that surprised me about that at all is just that it's in a city like Jacksonville. It's still a city in northern Florida, I get that, but it's a city. And if you told me that exact same thing, but about a First Baptist church in a town like mine, I wouldn't bat an eye. I would be like, I can't believe they didn't do that years ago, honestly. Right. Because it wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, in fact, it's not exactly the same thing, but I remember one of the churches in my hometown came to my high school, and the high school totally supported this. They came to my high school, got all of the seniors together in the auditorium, and they passed out these pledges that you had to sign. It was like, I swear before God, I will not have sex before marriage. I will not imbibe alcohol. I'll not do all this stuff. And you're swearing before you put your name on it. And I'm not just saying this. Like, I handed it back to my principal, and I was like, I'm not going to sign that. Yeah. And she was like,
what grade were you in?
I was a senior in high school. It was all the senior, because it was like, you're going into college. You're going to be tempted by sin. Swear before God you won't do any of that. And so many of my friends, and I get this too, they knew they were still going to, but they signed it anyway because, hey, I don't want any trouble. Yeah. They signed it knowing they were going to break it. I'm
sure you did too. I watched the documentary on Liberty University, and that's what they do now at Liberty in Lynchburg. I read that you identify as agnostic. Is that true?
Yes.
That's what you said?
Yeah.
I read a quote that was tagged with you that said, talking about your religion, I've never been particularly down with Jesus. I love that phrase. I'm not particularly down with Jesus because of the conservative social views of homosexuality held by most Christian denominations, especially in the area, meaning your town, region in Tennessee, where you were raised. Tell me about how you come to that in terms of, is it a complete rejection of all religion, or what is agnostic to you?
I'm not like hardcore atheist the way a lot of atheists are. Like, I'm not bothered by people, embracing their own religion, whatever it is. They should be allowed to do it. It's just as long as they don't then encroach upon other people's lifestyles or try to force their beliefs on other people, which I feel like so many churches in this country do. But like, if they're not doing that and they're just following their own doctrine that's highly spiritual to them and they feel a connection with God and all that, then I mean, that's totally fine with me. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm not hardcore like, oh, all religion needs to be abolished or whatever. It's just that in my experience, there's a lot of hypocrisy and a lot of things that don't really make any sense. Like with my gay uncle, and so with homosexuality issues related to the church, that was sort of the first thing that made me think, well, I don't really understand what that's about. And I feel like that sort of opened a door into me questioning a lot of other things about the religion or the doctrine or the Bible that I started noticing also didn't make sense to me.